Zastrzeżenie. Informacje i materiały edukacyjne zawarte w niniejszym dokumencie mają na celu promowanie ogólnego zrozumienia i dialogu na temat przetwarzania informacji przez GANS. Nie są one przeznaczone ani nie powinny być traktowane jako substytut klinicznego szkolenia, doświadczenia lub osądu profesjonalisty w dziedzinie opieki zdrowotnej. Dla pacjentów i osób indywidualnych informacje te nie zastępują profesjonalnej porady medycznej, terapeutycznej ani opieki zdrowotnej. Nie mogą one być podstawą do podejmowania decyzji dotyczących leków ani innych metod leczenia. Czytelnicy, widzowie i słuchacze powinni zawsze skonsultować się ze swoim lekarzem, a w poważnych przypadkach natychmiast szukać pomocy u służb ratunkowych. Informacje dotyczące recept, procedur oraz stosowania urządzeń medycznych powinny być wykorzystywane wyłącznie przez odpowiednio przeszkolony i certyfikowany personel medyczny. Zastrzegamy sobie wszelkie gwarancje, zarówno wyraźne, jak i domniemane, w tym domniemanie gwarancje przydatności handlowej lub przydatności do określonego celu. Informacje są udostępniane tak, jak są i uważa się je za dokładne w momencie publikacji. Jednak to odbiorca jest odpowiedzialny za ocenę ich prawdziwości. Każdy przedstawiony przypadek dotyczy wyłącznie osoby, która go doświadczyła i nie ma zastosowania do innych osób. Każda osoba mająca problemy zdrowotne powinna zasięgnąć profesjonalnej porady medycznej i skonsultować swoje leczenie z lekarzem. Opisane tutaj procesy balansowania plazmy są naturalnym procesem wspierającym organizm, ale nie zastępują porady lekarskiej ani terapii, którym dana osoba już podlega. Zastrzeżenie. Informacje Zastrzeżenie. To jest moje prywatne zastrzeżenie, w którym chcę ująć parę wątków. Nie jestem przedstawicielem Fundacji Keshe, a jedynie poszukiwaczem wiedzy, tak jak każdy z nas. W żaden sposób, prowadząc ten program, nie jestem związany z Fundacją Keshe, nie występuję w jej imieniu. Jestem po prostu gospodarzem samego spotkania, z zamiłowania i chęci podzielenia się tak wielką wiedzą i jej pięknem, które każdy z nas posiada na tak wiele różnych sposobów. Wszelkie tłumaczenia są naszą interpretacją tego, co rozumiemy z wątków tłumaczonych. Jakakolwiek moja prywatna działalność jest jedynie moją osobistą formą zrozumienia wiedzy dzielonej przez Fundację Keshe i nie ma, jak i nie powinna mieć żadnego wpływu na interpretację Twoją lub działalność samej fundacji. Jeżeli wypowiadam się w tych nagraniach, są to wypowiedzi oparte o moje zrozumienie, osobiste doświadczenie, co nie znaczy, że MT Keshe miał to samo na myśli podczas nauczania. Dziękuję Wam za Waszą interpretację i zachęcam Was do wypowiedzenia jej na tak wiele różnych sposobów podczas tego spotkania. Dobrze, moi drodzy, witam Was dzisiaj w kolejną niedzielę, 29 czerwiec. Jest to ostatnia niedziela czerwca 2025 roku. Po tygodniowej nieobecności jesteśmy z powrotem. Dzisiejszym tematem dzisiejszego spotkania jest tłumaczenie 594 warsztatu Poszukiwaczy Wiedzy z napisami zrobione przez naszą wspaniałą grupę tłumaczy. Zapraszam bardzo, tematy są bardzo ciekawe w tym warsztacie. zarówno w części edukacyjnej, jak i części Q&A, w której dr Keshe udziela odpowiedzi. A i jeszcze gdzieś tak przy okazji po części edukacyjnej, czyli pierwszej części, zrobimy sobie 5 minut przerwy, a później wrócimy do dalszej projekcji spotkania.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning. Good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen. This is of knowledge because from Keshe Foundation Special Message. We are traveling the time, and in the teaching of the past few sessions, we try to make connections in every direction about the time, about us, about our connection to our Creator, the time which we have in the dimension of the physicality, and there is another point to the life, the time of life. We always considered that we live physically and we separate, or we die physically, separate the soul from the physicality, and that's it, there it goes. We know now through understanding and the work of the universe that our soul travels the depth of the universe, and its place and position is already preset at the time of departuring is corporation, which is within the soul of the question for the next step comes is very simple. What is the time of the soul? Physicality has a time. But how long that soul will live in the universe? Would it dispose of itself the way the physicality of man does? Become part of, going back to the materials and the matters and the energies in the planet? Or it could be a physicality of the man in the space? Or would it become part of the time of the creation, part of the time of the universe? What is the consequences of this time? By law of physics, by law of conservation of energy, by laws of creation, for a plasma to exist, it needs a balance. It needs to balance with another field for it, not only to confirm its existence, but to confirm its position, and with it his place. And what is the time for that soul? And how does it interact with its environment? We, in the loose language of man, we speak about twin souls. In the misunderstanding of a knowledge, man uses this word very loosely. But is the twin soul, the soul that in the soul of the man on his departure twins with to create a new dimension of time? In a physical death, the soul of physicality is within, is gone. With the transmutation, the soul of physicality is within and is there to be manifested in a place, time, position, and position. But what happened when the physicality is not there? What time does the soul have? How much can he or it can travel? Would it be within the confinement of the magnetic field of the planet Earth, or due to his possession, gaining strength, will choose another position in the universe? And then, what is his time? His time has to be measured in accordance to other factors of the creation. Does his time start from zero and then becoming the seed for another cycle of life? Not necessarily in a matter state, but in given feel the strength of the matter, will live another cycle in the universe. In the DNA of the man, we can follow the genes, the evolution. In the field of strength of the soul of the man, we can follow and track the evolution of the universe and the time. But what is important is, and will be, is the strength of the soul in the cycle of evolution. And to what extent to each time. In the dimension of physicality, man has come up with what we call phrase of carbon dating. How would we date the soul? In which cycle, which part was added to it, and the what performance and observation? Can we carbon date the soul of the man, or can we time date the soul of the man? We observe the changes with the man, evolution, and everything else through the matter state. What about when our knowledge extends, that we can, through the field of strength, do the same? Then would we be able to trace the cycle of the creation? It took man decades to come out with what we call the traces of his DNA. How long would it take man to understand the power of the magnetic field as an energy and date the cycle of the soul of the man? Would we go back to the time of creation through our soul? On this planet, we have no traces of the universe. We have physicality of the change in the solar system. Energy is boundless and energy is limitless. What is the condition that our soul can be traced back, timed back, soul timed, soul dated, as we carbon date, and see which part of the soul comes from which part? What is connected to? What is our ancestry comes in the dimension of the fields of the time, of the energy side. Nowadays, we pay $100 to United Nations organizations which set up some times ago, and we trace back our ancestors. We are from Northern Europe, which way we came to be there, through the Straits of Hormuz, or we came through the Sanya deserts and we just got through and we led to the creation of life, or we took the boats from the east coast of Africa and we conquered other islands and the rest. They track it through the data of the DNA of the man. But once the man becomes knowledgeable, he can track the field strength of his soul, because he has no connection in a way that certain fields with the what we call physicality of this planet, but he collects energy from the dimension of universe. In the teaching of the past, many times I have always said what we consume is 20% of what energy we need. The other 80% comes from environment and the universe. The physicality of the man takes the lower energy for the physicality, but the higher energy fields of the universe come from the depth of the universe and adds to the inner sanctums, feel the strength of the soul of the man. So we can time it. Is it on the dimension of the universe or in the dimension of physicality? When you look at the spiral, which I usually draw with the GANs, field strength, magnetic field strength, you can understand then how we can trace back man to where he came from. Part of his soul, part of energy of his construction has the traces of another galaxy, another universe, another dimension, and what time, how these times were added to the intellect. Does this mean the new souls are more mature because they receive the latest, the most powerful fields from the direction and dimensions of the totality of the fields of the universe? Does man transfer part of the soul of the energy type through the interaction of the creation of a child, creation of the new soul? Then there is a meaning to the children of Mitra that are created out of the soul of the man and not out of the dimension of physicality of the man. The concept, the understanding, and the principle of the creation of the children of Mitra is, in essence, explanation of the creation of the children of the universe, as they gather from the fields of the universe and not from the dimension of physicality of the man. That's why these children are unique. These children are very few, far, and very, very few of them in the universe, because they carry the whole essence of. In the physicality of the man, we see the blue eyes, brown hair, dark skin, and we can trace it back to where there could have been a mixture of something. So the children of Mitra in time have no time for them, as they take the dimension of the life in time of the creation of the universe. They are the energy side and not the physicality side. There is one of them amongst you, and she will turn this planet upside down and the work of the universe. And she comes from the origin of the creation. Man has to understand the time. We have bracketed the time into the dimension of physicality of the man. And as usual, as we never accepted that the soul is part of the man, inner sanctums of man is the creator holding everything together, then we understand that the soul on its own has its own genetic fingerprint. This will indicate the time, but it goes back to where does the soul of the man goes, what time limit it has. How does it survive in the span of the universe? isn't it to be the beginning of another solar system, another cycle of life, another universe? Then it raises a question. In the dimension of the physicality of a solar system, the sun, we always talk about the second sun. Look at the pictures on the screen. It's trinity of two. When the soul departs the physicality of the man, it needs another twin soul to confirm its time, the place, and the position. And the position not only in respect to the universal system, but to itself, to maintain life. This is what in reality we call the twin soul. In essence, the energy of the soul of the man arrives at its destination as an energy pack, has no dimension of physicality. An interaction with its twin soul leads to creation of manifestation of existence of itself. Twin soul is not dictated as the fancy word of today. We are twin souls on this planet. But twin soul, in reality, is the soul, is the dimension which leads to the creation and manifestation of conformation of life in the new place, position, possession, emotion, intelligence, and enlightenment. In a way, the interaction of the twin souls with the soul of the man leads to what we call creation of emotion. Which way do we rotate? How do I feel? In what position I stay near you? What is my reaction in towards the energies you carry and the destiny you have created for yourself? Do I need to be inside you, or do I need to be near you? And what time do I want to be, and in what position and position we meet again? Then it comes to the truth point that as the soul of the man is the seed for creation of another dimension in the universe, how does it choose the time, the place to meet with its twin? To create a new time, a new cycle. It has no time and position till it decides, according to its field strength, inherited energy fields, about its position to manifest itself, and that needs environmental condition to be able to manifest. It can manifest itself against its galaxy, but it needs to manifest itself against itself, which means it needs what we call the twin soul, what we call the soul of physicality. As the soul on its own, without the soul of physicality in interaction with the environment, cannot manifest the physicality. Now you understand the essence of the twin soul. The essence of time. How does it choose its time? How long will it last that time? And what leads to the cycle of its existence? It will not be the same rocks and the same rivers in the dimension which it creates, but the emotion it carried from the physicality of the man is within it. Anger, hate, love, caring. Why do we see so much diversity in the structure of what we call physical dimensions of the observation of the man in the universe? Volatile stars, calm stars, stars which create life, and there are life which they nourish life. Man needs to find answer for all these. Today is an enlightenment teaching. Those of you who understand will see, understand the future of the creation. In a way, you understand about your own soul. By the age of 50, 60, 70, you think how much more time I have. But in reality, how much time I have given to my soul to exist in the universe. We become vegetarian, we become meat eaters, we become blah, 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 blah things. But we have to consider how much of each of these behaviors has ingrained, has taken, has given to the dimension of the what we call genetic fingerprints of our soul. Extremely dented in the physical life of the man. That man has to decide how much time his soul has in the universe, and not how much time he has in the dimension of physicality on this planet. We are too busy with the crumb, which is the physical. We have not understood and we have not looked how big is the cake of life of the soul of the man. The time, the dimension, the strength it has in the universe. We are too busy with nothing. And we are far too busy with nothing, which is the physicality of the man, which is the dimension of the manifestation of matter state. Maybe the time has come for mankind to look at the time in the dimension of the universe and not time in the dimension of the rotation of the planet around the sun. Where does our soul rotate once it finds in position? What happens if you gain enough strength to become the seed of the universe? What do you rotate around? By principle of the magnetic fields, as energy, you rotate. In which direction, which dimension, and which creation, and how close to your twin soul, and how big is that universe which you twin with. And then, have you matured enough in the field strength of gathering whatever it comes from the universe and unicause, the strength of the soul of the man, twin with the creator, the Mitra. Coming from, going back to being part of. How do we track our time of our soul? And what happened when, with a new knowledge of transmutation, understanding dimension of the soul, we can travel the time of the universe through our soul? Is this what we do in the transmutation? That's why we go to the places we've never been, we see creatures we've never seen, and then we know who they are. Maybe once we understand the dimension of the time travel, evolution of the soul of the man, which receives energy from the universe more than it receives from dimension of physicality, we can understand the position of the soul of the man. Its ancestry is track, not from east coast of Africa, but is track from the creator. How it became to become. In the new space technology and what we set to come, we'll be able to track the dimension of the fields of the creation. Very much the man does with the DNA. Understanding field strength, understanding the mass, understanding the weight, but in the dimension of energy and not in the dimension of matter state. We are created out of the weight of the fields of the universe by interaction of the one with the other. We become mass when our what we call field strength in energy is constant, the same in every universe. We do not need to measure the mass, but we measure the energy, interaction of magnetic field in motion. The knowledge will come through the knowledge of communication, where the emotion, the intelligence, the what we call the understanding of the world of creation becomes enlightened. And through enlightenment, control of enlightenment, understanding the process of the creation of the universe, we create time. Emotions are fixed. Intelligence comes in a different dimension. The only thing we change the time for the soul of the man is enlightenment. The true enlightenment, through the fields energy of the universe, control of the fields of the energy of the universe. The way man in the dimension of physicality, as we explained, becomes enlightened and sees time in front. If man learns to tap into the fields of the universe, the original fields of the universe, which are not touched in interaction with others, man will be enlightened to see the world of the creation in totality and be part of the yin and yang, part of the Adam and Eve, part of everything else man has ever made to be. Become another partner with the Creator. Become part of the Creator as it was created by itself. In a way, I gathered enough to match you. I gathered enough to be equal with you. I gathered enough from the universe to stand, to share, to give, to become part of the creation. I am the Creator, and I create for me to be that I am. In a way, the world of universe stands on one leg, and the time and the place and the fields of the Creator in another. The whole of the creation in totality is a twin set with the Creator's fields and energy. And this is how the creation is created. What we see and one man will see as a universe, unicos, and the rest, all in totality is the time, is the place, is the totality of the emotion of the twin to the Creator. Then imagine what is within the Creator. Once man understands that, once man gathers to that point, then man can measure the fields, the dimension, what we call the path of the creation and time. "13 billion light years and other things man has come up with is literally a dot in the time scale of the creation. But he's busy with his lifetime, where in fact he has to look for enlightened time. Then man understands the true meaning of life and time. Time in the dimension of the man, as he has created it, is very flexible, because he works with the smallest of the fractions and frictions of the totality. Where once man learns about the true essence of the time, man will follow the path to the Creator in a much rapid way. Then he knows the time that his soul will be before it becomes another part of the structure of another life, in a way transferring his DNA and RNA to another dimension of DNA and RNA. And if man understands this, man will find out that there is no time. Time is always zero. As at every step and strength, man starts a new cycle of life in different dimensions, the strength in the universe. I made man in the image of myself, timeless, limitless. And that is what man has to understand about his soul. Our soul does not come from physical side. Our soul comes from dimension of the universal energy side. And that is why at a point of departure goes back to where he came to, where he came from, how it was created, and how by gathering more of what was there in the like of a vacuum cleaner of the fields of the universe, goes back to start a new position, intellect, emotion, and intelligence. There is one point man will understand in the coming time. The cycle of the energies which come from man leads to creation of more information advancements in the next cycle. Then man has to ask himself one question. Those we look up to as to be more intelligent, how far in time they started and how much more they have gathered, that they to us are considered as advanced. In a way, man has to look not to the evolution of his physicality, man has to look into evolution of his soul. Time, emotion, intelligence, and it's enlightened. Now you understand how far we have to go and how much we need to learn about time. Then man understands how to divide time. How time is divided for man in the cycle of his soul, and the time from the position and the place from his creator. And the only way man will change that time is and will be by enlightenment, which brings all the dimensions of the energies of the universe, from the physical and non-physical, to understand the operation of both. This is why we are called the messengers, universal messengers, because we understand both and we live in both dimensions, the time and energy. And we understand both need time of their own maturity. And that's why we are patient with man. As we understand the time for it to be enlightened is about to come. But man is always escapes the job, as he likes to have more dimension of physicality. Maybe now you understand how much knowledge man still needs to gain. Not in looking at the stars and cosmos, but looking at the energies of the stars, energy of their life, where they came to, energy to the fields, and where they go. Man has never questioned what is the origin of a star. He just accepted it. Now he has to ask that question, because manifestation of it as a star is the beginning of the time for that cycle. Where did it come from to reach there? How did it become a star? It's not by what we've been taught today, by gathering whatever we don't even understand. Nowhere in the world of the science of today we have watched energy to be transferred into a star. many fallacies and no truth, many accepted by those who have no enlightened souls. Understand the essence of time in the dimension of the field and energy. Then you'll have everlasting time and life. Will not be attached to the dimension of physicality. And one of these tests is the transmutation. Gaining trust to become the sole, lonely driver in the universe for your own soul is not such a pleasant thing. We need to confirm position in respect to another field. We need to confirm our enlightenment to another equal, what we call the twin soul. I hope I open your eyes to a new dimension of teaching which is about to come. The path through the time, through intellect, through enlightenment to the Creator. Then you understand all these teachings of past 10 years will mature by the 12th year, where man will be enlightened to the true knowledge of his creation and not just the time and dimension of physicality, the sound and emotion of man. Be ready to understand more about yourself. And we use every tool the man has to bring that enlightenment to totality of the creation. On this planet, as some of the universal community has already been enlightened and understand the totality to their own limit. We go for a break and we come back, and we'll see how much time you have. Rick, would you take us for a break and come back?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Dobrze, moi drodzy, to my też tutaj sobie weźmiemy przy okazji 5 minut przerwy. Jak macie ochotę, wróćcie za 5 minut, będziemy kontynuować. No dobrze, moi drodzy, to już jesteśmy w 5. minucie. Mam nadzieję, że starczyło. Zapraszam na kolejną część wykładu.
Okay, we are back again at the 594th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And because it's the second part, as I described earlier, we'll have questions of Mr. Keshe. But before that, we have a tradition that he might have several things to say, or at least one or two. And please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. We'll be receiving a lot of questions regarding what we call the Keshe Foundation and our operation in regard to marketing. Please be aware and understand we cannot give any comment directly or indirectly about shareholding and operation to individuals or privately, or what we think. As I've received a number of requests this past few days, especially, where can we buy shares and whatever. You have to find your own way to your own banking system, to your own brokerages. And people ask us, what do you think will be the value of the shares? We cannot comment. We have a very clear idea of what the shares value is, what our position will be, but that's internal to us. Even though we operate very openly, on the other hand, the shares are in the hand of public. We don't know who owns the shares and how they'll affect our work and how our word will affect the value of the shares. We give you a broad outline as you're part of the Keshe Foundation to understand. Your dream was to bring the technology into public, that it becomes common, what we call tools for the survival of man. And the only way we could, and we have done, is through the financial arm of the Keshe Foundation operation. And this way, very soon, in the next few months and so, you will see massive interaction with the products and use of the technology internationally as we release it in collaboration and cooperation through our financial arm. It's not any more Keshe Foundation. It's what we have given from the foundation to the financial arm to put in the, what we call it, the hand of the public. On a commercial way, in a very, what we call, extensive way. We have chosen a very specific way, never done by no technology, by no entrepreneur. This does not just apply to marketing. We have set up different ways, very similar to marketing, but in the background, that we will enter the international, what we call world of finance, world of commerce, world of manufacturing, in a punctual way and in a very effective way. Which means the technology will not take years and years to come. The technology will be out across different nations in a less than handful of years. In a way, we have used the system to play the system because we understand how the system works. Marketing will be one of the arms of the Keshe Foundation operation. And in so many ways, we have and we will use the new way that we set ourselves to go, that we are never involved in manufacturing. We are never involved in services of the Keshe. We are never involved in disbursement of the knowledge, but we stay fully in charge, fully in control through the operation we set up. This means we have used the structure of the what we call international operation of the finance and manufacturing and everything together in one, what we call target. So we need support now to bring that position. And we are very open about it. We still haven't risen even 100,000. We need at least 1.2 million to do it. We're trying to manipulate as much as we can to reach the target, because we did that, we have very short time, maybe another week, 2 weeks maximum. Then, if we don't reach it, we fail. And it take us years to get back to this position. And we've been very open about it in every shape or form. And we need to bring this to a point of maturity very rapidly in the next more or less few days, that we can start, which we have already kick-started it, to move in the dimension where we want. There's a lot of time talk about the war, attacks and everything else. We are blind to it. There's nothing to do with our cycle. The Christians and the Muslims and the Jews bashing each other head because of the non-existence of the truth is their problem. We have started a cycle which overpasses these things. And we start with a nation which is not involved in any of it. And this is where we see the change will come, and the way we have put our efforts, using both dimensions of the work. So please don't ask us about what you think the value of the shares of market is, how can you buy it. We have allocated the shares in a very specific way for the support, those who support us. All of you who served Keshe Foundation in past 20 years in different shape or forms will receive enough support from us. In so many ways, we need to understand that we have to stay very impartial. We need to stay very correct, both to the knowledge seekers and the path we've taken on the financial world through the market, and other companies like market will emerge in the coming time. Any detail with regarding to market will be announced by market through the operation of the American stock market. We know the share values, what it will be. We know what the share values are, and the two do not reflect the truth figures because of the things which are set up and was not controlled by in the past years. Now that we have started to sort it out, to clean it up, we find out there are the problems which has nothing to do with our way of work, but it's something to do with the financial world. And this is what we need the money to clear it up, that we can move on. I always have found the solution. I always found a way to bring it, and I'm sure we'll find ways to do it. But please don't write to me, don't ask me, because we said we kept some shares for knowledge seekers. Those shares are there where people put the true value of the shares on. It will be given. Our silence is our knowledge, is not our weakness. And we've seen many people playing with shares in the stock market That's their prerogative. The true share values, what we see is not what is actually in the trading, but we have to abide by law. Many of you knowledge seekers who supported us will see the fruit of your support. And the only way we can do, and how we have come to be to that position. The rest is for us to assess and develop. And we have started the evolution of the change world peace through technology. It's not something we're going to do. We have put it on a sound base and it will take its own shape. Does not matter if I'm not, or if I am here, and how will happen with whatever. Technology is set on a very, very solid base now to be commercialized, and a second time to be properly done outside the hand of the Keshe Foundation. Keshe Foundation is a knowledge provider, not in the world of the manufacturing and the rest. That has been passed on to our arms of the work in the hand of the experts which come around the world to do. If there are any other questions, we answer.
Yes, we have a number of questions, of course, several in YouTube and 7 in the Q&A. And again, I welcome our attendees to raise your virtual hand and then ask a question. Okay, I'd like to start with a question from Filippo because he's posted it several times, but it's always been toward the end of the workshop and we didn't have time for it. Says, good morning, Mr. Keshe. In plasma work, twinity is a big concept to take in consideration in our daily work with plasma. Can you please give us some more understanding of it?
No. Hello.
Hello.
I lost you. Give us more understanding.
Yes, that in plasma work, twinity is a big concept to take. It's a big concept to take in consideration in our daily work with plasma. Can you please give us some more understanding of it?
If you want to understand twinity, you have to have the comprehension that there is a conservation of energy, conservation of magnetic fields. What does this mean? It means nothing is lost. Everything is used, but in different shapes and whatever. It's like baking a cake. You take some flour from a bag, you take some salt from another container, you take some sugar from another container, you take milk from another container, you take everything else from different containers, and then you mix them. But the totality of all the materials, what's left in the bags and containers, and what is in the pot you put in, is always the same. And this is the principle of the conservation. This is the principle of what we call Trinity. What you put in the pot comes from a mixture of other pots. But in totality, everything is the same in the value, in the mass, or in weight. So your Trinity changes by how much more sugar you take from one pot and how much more flour you take in one pot and how much more milk you get. You change the composition. But this is a Trinity set. What you create is a part of the totality that in a way is always conserved. It cannot change. This is the way the universe works. This is the way creation works. We see different galaxies, different stars, different lives, different UFOs, different things, but all of it is in that pot, what's on the table. It cannot change. You cannot bring something else extra from outside. What you make is the twin of the totality, even though you took parts, portions from each one to mix it. And this is in essence the world of creation, the world of Trinity. You can still divide that what you mixed into different cake sizes, but the pot is the same. You cut it in two halves, you make 2 loaves of bread. You make it in 4 halves, you make 4 pieces of cakes. But still that 2 and 4 and whatever is combination of what's on the table. Cannot change. And that bread, the half of the loaf, is the twin part of the whole amount what's in the pot, but the whole lot is in twin, part of the Trinity with what's on the table from all the pots. Not all the pots is the universe. And those grains of sugar, those grains of flour, those dust of flowers are the galaxies, the stars, the universes, everything else. There's no difference. But you have it in the matter state conversion, or you have it in the energy conversion. What you mix, if you put the sugar, salt, and everything else, and flour and whatever in a pot, still you can separate it one way or another. But once you put the energy of the what we call milk or water or liquid, that they all mixed up together, you cannot separate anymore. And that milk is the life of the Creator, essence of his energy. How much milk you put in the pot gives you different mixture, different dough. It gives you a solid dough, thick dough, mixed into a liquid. It depends how much love, how much milk you put in. That milk is the amount you put in, is the love of the Creator. More dilution, and to the point, if you dilute enough milk in it, you know the sugar is there, you know the flour is there, but you see none of it, because it's covered with the love of it, with the essence of the milk, the liquid. But in fact, the liquid was on the table from the beginning. And this is how Trinity works, and what the essence of Trinity is. Does not matter what you mix it, how you mix it, what's on the table is the totality. And how you take part of it, you make a twin of it, it's like a soul of physicality compared to what's on the table as a soul. The interaction of them gives you the cake, that's the manifestation. So you decide what part of the flowers you take and how you divide it to twin it. But in essence, it's all part of the same pot. The love of the Creator, the essence of his field and his energy. And he dilutes it in such a vast way that you cannot realize anymore what's what. But if you go into the detail of it, you can find a piece of flour in that part of the liquid, and a bit of the sugar, even is diluted. And yet,
Okay, I hope Filippo gets some useful information out of that. I think he will. Let me see here. Andrew mentioned he tried to buy a Keshe coin to do his bit to help, but he hasn't received back an email. He's tried 2 times to.
If you purchase, you just pay through the Keshe Foundation channels. You go to the store and you do it there. Or you go to the donation on top of the Keshe Foundation website. There's a donation button. Choose either way. You can go through this store or the donation. You can buy Keshe.
Okay.
You need an email.
That's probably what he needs to do. Okay, thank you. And a question from Evanix of the Brazilian community. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the valuable knowledge you share and for your willingness to answer my question. I would like to know more about the different types of dreams and whether all dreams are considered a travel of the soul.
We have explained this before. There are 2 types of dreams, or what you call 2 types of travel. It's the same as how your soul is free to interact with the universe and bring back the knowledge. You have the interaction of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man, which creates a dream. This type of dream is usually very easy to tell. It's a man's dream, man's dimension of physicality. The other dream, which is the interaction of the soul of the man with the universe, so what we call the soul of the universe, are very far in between and usually brings enlightenment. The dream, which is the physical, you talk about a cat today, and tonight you dream about the cat. That's the physical dream. This is to do with the dimension of the soul and soul of physicality, mainly the dimension of the energies of the physicality with the soul of physicality of the man, which leaves an imprint in the dimension of the emotion and the memory of the man. That's how we remember these dreams. The enlightenment dreams, which is when we separate from the physicality of the man, it's deep-rooted in understanding of the operation of the universe and creation. The physical dream has access to part of the soul dimension field, which can take you to your mother who died years ago, and the father and the other things. They connect to their soul that you see. And from our point of view, there is a clear what they call line between 2 types of dream, and the one which connects within the soul of the physicality of the man, and the soul of the man is what we use for transmutation, that we don't let the soul separate. The one which travels the expand of the soul of the man with the universal fields is the one which you travel the depth of the creation. And it comes back with the enlightenment, because now you see more. In the interaction of the field of the physicality and the soul, you see, you get enlightened about physical dimension. When you travel in the dimension of the field of this is done usually by the prophets. That's why they see the weaknesses of the man in that dimension, in the soul level, and when they come back, they abuse. It's the test. As I said, we test the heat of a fire with gold when it melts. And we test a man with gold to see when he melts, when he put the gold in his hand. And the test of the soul is when you come in touch with the Creator and how you melt. That's a different dream. Those who are created through the soul, the children of Mitra, dream in that dimension in a way that enlightened all the time by the knowledge of the Creator. And when you see the children of Mitra, you see the enlightenment. And when you see the man of knowledge on this planet and bands and the rest in the universe, you realize how physical they are. Physical ones are always arrogant, and the true ones are generous. That's why I see professors and leaders becoming so arrogant, because they just think they know. And dream souls and dimension of physicality, if you understand and separate it between the soul of the man and the physicality of the man, or between the physicality of the man and the soul of the man, and the soul of physicality of man with the soul of the man, each can be explained very easily which you are, what you are. Look at your dreams and just don't just take it as a dream. You dream about a cat, you dream about being somewhere. Look at your memory bank of the past few days, and you see usually it's the same day, in one cycle, and you dream about, oh, I dream, but did somebody talk about the cat today? That's between their physicality and solar physicality. And it's about 80-90% of the dream of the man. What you thought in the background about, oh, I miss my mom, and then tonight I dream mom, but you forgot that you had that intention of creation. But the biggest problem or understanding is, how did you come? How come you thought about mom today? Has she sent a message that physically you're not aware of, but at the energy level, it's woken up, let's talk. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to attempt to combine three people's question in one here, because it's becoming a common concern, you could say. First of all, Jay has seems to be upset. He says, Rick, I'm seeing riots and wars taking place all over the world, racist hatred everywhere, and weapons testing, killing thousands of people every hour. Donald Trump is having a laugh, flying around in a helicopter and planes, telling people to drill, baby drill, for oil, coal, and other fossil fuels. What's going on? When will it stop? And then we have other questions from Antonio, for example. His question or concern is, Israel may attack Iran soon. And will Iran, in this case, be able to defend themselves with plasma technology by neutralizing their missiles as they appear? And then we have another question from anonymous attendee. Is it true that Israel is about to attack Iran, and do you know why? And so on. So there's a lot of upset in the world, and people are agitated, and it seems like something's coming up. Can you comment on those questions?
If you look at we don't look at the civil side. The civil side is to do with your leaders, and it's created primarily by the world leaders internally for their own use and abuse. Internationally, when we look at the world, 95% of the world is peaceful. 99% of the world is peaceful. We have two flashpoints. One is in Ukraine and one is in Middle East. And both of them are financed, fed by Vatican. It's the war of religions and how they support. If you see in the news in the past few hours, we see that the head of IAEA has been, and now the documents are in open in newspapers, working for Mossad. Now, for the first time, we always suspected somebody in the offices of the IAEA passes information to Israel and killing Iranian scientists and the world scientists. It's not just Iranian scientists who have died. Israelis have been busy killing many scientists. Many. And there are arm of the other people. But what has been released in the past few hours through what we hear from the Iranian intelligence gathering and the information they received, the head of IAEA has been all the time working for Mossad. That's how we lost our engineers, and that's how we lost. Then we have people inside Iran who are paid. They were given an ultimatum earlier this year, some 30,000 of them, if they don't change the regime by the end of 2025, their names will be released by FBI or by Pentagon. Now we see how much they have in there. On the other hand, they have a psychopath sitting in one place which caused the Iraq war, Libya war, and the rest, and they all make money out of it. And we cannot stop that. And this is fueled, fanned by the Vatican. The Middle East and Ukrainian war is just a religious war. And that's the beginning and the end of themselves. You got to realize why suddenly in past few hours or past couple of 2 or 3 days, suddenly Israel became hot. Very simple. In the past 3 months, Iranians managed to break through intelligence and move something like 2 trucks of documents plus cyber information out of Israel. Iran, according to what is released by the Iranian press, they don't announce it much outside, have located every single 90-odd nuclear warheads in Israel. It's like black and white. They have accessed all the private life of Netanyahu, his mistresses, his bank dealings, and it's all done through his own connections. It's not allegation. They have access to all the plans, how the Europeans helped Israel to build a bomb, to do everything else. And this has pushed Israel to take action because now they know Iranians have their position of their nuclear warhead. You cannot just put a warhead and move it somewhere else. Where are you going to put it? And what is in open, it's very easy to track. The other problem is that Iran announced that they will share the knowledge with other people. Now the Russians have the location of every single Israeli missile. What do you think Israel is going to do? The hand of the West is literally broken with this disclosure. And it's not one thing, everything, the whole of every Israeli national medical history is in the hand of Iran. They have emptied all the vaults, the banking, the courts, the social welfare, the addresses, their supporters, where the money comes, the banking system. This is what they don't tell you in the West. But Iran announced it on the 6th of June, 7th of June. They literally trucked it out of Israel. Trucked it out, not the cyber. Cyber is part of it. And literally, if Israel doesn't move and America doesn't move into attacking Iran, Iran has technologies now that in next few, God knows time, can target these points. The biggest problem for the West was where these bombs are, where it's how many where. Every location, every house, every officer, every personnel who handles nuclear material or involved in military part of Israel, their name, the children, the bank accounts is in the hand of the Iranians. This is why they're suddenly gone into Bush. Just they don't release it in the West because then they want to say Iran is going to attack, blah, blah. But in the way, what Israel kept away from IAEA now is in the hand of Iran, and they release it. How the Americans, the British, and the French have been helping and building nuclear materials in Israel. It's very deep. And what we hear suddenly, Israel is trying to get attacked because now the hand is in exhaust. Every nuclear place is done, and you just don't need to do anything. You just literally attack them. No nuclear ball will go off because the ignition is not on. You have a small amount of what we call radiation leakage, but can be contained in Israel. This is the reason for sudden heat up since the 6th, 7th. Netanyahu mistresses, all their names, Netanyahu bank accounts, how he made fraud with the couple in the United States, everything is now open. And part of this structure shows the involvement of Trump. This is why you suddenly see sudden surge out of nowhere. According to the news, Americans are emptying all their personals out of Iraq and Emirates, but they don't tell you why. Israel has become a belly hub. Iranians don't need to do much. If they launch every rocket, every whatever they have with the supersonic missiles into these targets, Israel has bombed itself. Now they have precise precision videos, literally physical videos of the position of these missiles. This is what the Iranian, what you call intelligence, has put in public in Iran, which nobody is aware of outside. There's a list of 2 truckload, they say, physical documentation that there is no accusation. They have physical confirmation of the Grossi to be a member of the Mossad. That's what they say. And they have published it in past 24 hours. In a way, he went to see, but he videoed everything for Israelis where to hit. IAEA has no leg anymore in the negotiations. So we wait and see. They have to strike. They have to do something because now they have no protection. I advise to take a different action, but they no advice goes unless what they see in their hand, they have in their hand, and how they planned it out. The meeting of the IAEA this week about Iran is meaningless. We're sitting on the table negotiating with the Israelis in the cover of Mr. Grossi. That's why whatever Iran does is no good. That's why Iran has opened all these nuclear centers, and it's not enough. And Israel hasn't given a single document to IAEA, and they're protected. And now the belly is up. What are we going to negotiate in Geneva? Or Vienna? What is the verdict they give the Iranians? That because what Mr. Grassi, as an intelligence officer of Mossad, has put the thing on to fit the suit to create. It's lost its leg. IAEA has lost its leg. The sanctions lost its leg. We have to wait and see. And the moment is inevitable. In past 72 hours, thousands of American soldiers have been taken, or families have been taken out of Iraq and Middle East. Imminent attack of Israel. Why does the Israelis need to attack? They don't tell you. They're belly up. That's the only way they see to their survival. And Iran said they share it with everyone. Now, the Chinese have the data where the Israeli bombs are. The Russians have the data. Russians have been bothered by the Israelis in Syria. What are they going to do? Pump, pump. It's not anymore we did what we like. Now is we're done with. And I'm sure if any attacks happens on Iran, Russia will not stay silent. Ukraine is on the same pattern. Vatican used the Jews to play the game and doesn't touch them. The Israelis and the Jews pay for it. This is a war of religions and not economical war or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I was wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I was wondering when you were describing all that, which is part of what is going on and some of the special information that you're privy to and has become public in Iran and so on. What does the soul think in a way, or what is the soul's time of all those events? Is the soul interacting with those events in any way, or is it impartial and doesn't?
It's part of maturity. These things are part of the maturity of the soul. To man to walk away. And I said for a long time, we don't see international wars. Most of the what we saw how happened between India and Pakistan, it was tic-tac, finished within a few hours. And it came again by the superiority of China. The reason India submitted, there was actually full submission by the Indians, was the way the Pakistanis destroyed the air forces of India. In a very short time using Chinese new aircrafts, where the European latest aircraft tested by India failed to even to operate. And so we won't see skirmishes. And China has a different principle into warfare. China, it sees as making all the nations one in a way of communist way, but in an open communism, which is today's China, will have a free trade. We have a free system. But systems like America and the European take the smallest piece of land on this country, on this planet called Israel, and make it such a big thing to cover their own news. Do you think Chinese listen to this? Do you think Indians listen to this? Do you think Russians are aware, bothered with it? Does it affect any African? We are Western CNA broadcast to make it so big. 8 million population out of 8 billion population has become the center. No. And the Chinese look at the global system. Does it make any difference if Iran hits Israel or Israel hits Iran? No. This is all westernized media blow up to show they're big, but there's nothing. If you can use the smallest ant on the ground to create mayhem, so you're that much intelligent. The world does not go around Israel and what happens in the Middle East. The world does not go what happens around Ukraine. It's going on extremely fast development. And the rest of the 7.988 billion are developing, growing, extending, and this thing is just a play of the infants. So don't get busy with what happens in Israel or what happens in Iran or what happens in Ukraine. This is not even 1% of the world population. And 99% is growing extremely rapid, especially in the world of understanding new technologies and science and where it comes enlightened. And maybe it's the time for to change the direction of people. Everything is just because it's on CNN. Why do we listen to this? Why do we need to listen to CNN? Why do we need to listen to any American news? They have their own internal problem. If you look what happened when the German Chancellor and other world leaders in recent time have met with the Americans, especially Trump, it's just people keeping saying hello to themselves. It's like gangsters meeting each other. We are very big. Look at the growth, intelligence growth, and evolution in Brazil, Canada, in China, in Japan, and in India. See how fast humanity is growing. And everything is not about this little bunch of Jews. They actually are not Jews. They're a bunch of Ukrainians who went to Jews. They are fighting both in Ukraine and in Israel. You look at the background of every leader in Israel. They're all East Europeans, Ukrainian, Poland, and the rest. Same as, what happened with a bunch of them. No man had no meat. They went to America and they saw buffaloes and how they made everything, what they call it, meat. These are a bunch of insignificant people who came from the most poorest nations in Europe, and now they tell they're big. Watch the behavior of Israel and watch the behavior of the Ukrainian leader. It's exactly the same. In English, we call them News. Just ignore what you see because it's not always right. Look at the advancement in New Zealand, in Australia, how Japan is breaking new dimensions every day, how China has changed it. You invest money in war, they invest money in peace and in technology and the rest of it. Americans have a big problem, supposed to make a fast train, whatever, between Los Angeles and another point, and they're still 10, 15 years down the line, they can't do it. Chinese are putting 1,000 kilometers an hour railway near Shanghai very soon. What that mainstream they do, the Chinese have already achieved. That's where the intelligence comes. That's why we work and concentrate on Chinese development. Don't worry about it. They're going to hit each other. They're going to do whatever they can because they are they're a bunch of bandits. But other than, I want to call it, 8.99 billion of us are peaceful, running our nations, serving our people, and the rest of it. And yeah.
That was nice. Thank you. Mosirjan, trying to pronounce it correctly, has a hand up here, and would you like to go ahead, please?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I hope I got your message. They replied you back.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Yeah, I replied for your message. Have you got it, Mr. Keshe?
Read your email.
Yeah, yes.
Message has been sent back to you. Read your email.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Any other question?
Yeah,
Whoops. Go ahead. Sorry, I muted you there prematurely.
actually, I replied for the email. Can we meet on Saturday?
Excuse me, do not
9
discuss.
Yes.
You have any communication, communicate through the email, not here in public.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a question from Nadir from the Brazilian community. A question for Mr. Keshe. Have there been knowledge seekers who have managed to feed themselves from the fields by listening to Thursday teachings?
I don't know, ask them.
Well, we have definitely people that have given testimonials in the testimonials, public meeting for testimonials, and folks like Mark who have gone months by skipping 2 out of 3 meals a day because they just don't need them anymore. He's feeding from the fields essentially, and able to get all of his energy for the day by 2/3 less food. And he's notating how he's using the vials of the ganses of different foods, and finds that's been working quite well and very much paying for itself. He was detailing how much money he saved over 100 meals or whatever, and it's quite significant, much more than the price of the items. So it's a way that you can invest in feeding on the fields through the Keshe technology.
There is a lot of knowledge seekers who are testing. People who've been through sessions, some of them have lost their appetite totally. And some people have lost a lot of their, addictions. And this doesn't happen coincidentally, it just happens. In the teachings, we do not bring in the process of the, our systems to back. We did that once, if you remember, some 300-400 of you were online, and we saw the result. If we bring the process of what we call our systems during the 3 hours of teaching, God knows what we will do. So there's a teaching is enlightenment by yourself, not condition created by us. And you have to test it. You have to see many knowledge seekers in China and other part of the world have gone for weeks and months and days without food, without anything, but it's the reliance on what they want to get. And my advice to a lot of you is, if you are relying on ganses for nourishment, continuously change your ganses with a fresh one, with a different mixture, because two reasons. First of all, the body gets saturated with one spectrum, so it needs to go and use other spectrum for the shortage. Secondly, your ganses will give the energy for given the spectrum, and then they don't have anymore. So if you have come into the process of feeding yourself with energies, learn that you need a spectrum of energies, different mixture of. Even you have the same ganses on the table, mixing them, positioning them, creates different interaction, different fields. It's like you can't eat meat every day. Your body gets saturated to it. And then you eat meat, but then body has to convert it. So it's the same process. You're dealing with the meat which has got energy, so you need different energy levels. Don't rely on take the same gases. You have to change it. We see this even in people who use for corona. The same cups of corona becomes next cycle less effective because the energy level for that has been used. It's in a way, it's from number 1 to 10. You use number 8, so it's not there anymore. She puts a new 8 in. It's life. It's a creation of balance of energies. So if you are in that game, you have to understand how the creation works. They keep on telling you, for example, take vitamin C. It's no use taking a cup of orange juice every day. Body gets saturated with that bracket of vitamin C. There are hundreds of other vitamin C energy levels. Fruits, nuts, other things, meat, whatever else gives you the balance of it. If you give all the time there, body rejects it. It's got a point of saturation, but it still needs to make the others. When you read about vitamins and read about calcium tablets, there are at least 40, 50 different type of calciums which your body uses. There's a calcium for your bone, there's a calcium for your cell, there's a calcium for what we call operation of the liquid in the body, there's a calcium for solidification of the cells to organs. Each calcium, so you just keep on taking the same calcium tablet. Doesn't work. Insufficiency brings other problems. This is like, I was explaining to a scientist, a doctor actually, over the past weekend. The discussion comes on the point of toothpaste. As you know, I explained to you many times, get used to brushing things or to the whatever without anything. Pick a toothpaste, doesn't matter what brand, and see the ingredients. Write all the ingredients down, and then go into the world of AI and encyclopedia and the rest of it, and see what this material is and what deficiency in this material will create in your body? Zinc. Oh, it's got zinc in my toothpaste. Hello, do you swallow the zinc? No, you spit it out. But you get the information to the body that zinc is coming. Go and see zinc deficiency, and then see your diseases. Acid so-and-so. Well, see what this acid actually is. Is it synthetic? And what this synthetic acid does in your body? With your toothpaste, you are creating money for the doctors. You're creating your own diseases. Ask yourself a single question. Do I swallow this? It has this, but it doesn't go into my body because I spit it out. I wash my mouth 10 times. But the body got full that is coming in. And if it's a chemical combination, body makes to get rid of it. So see what elements are in that chemical that your body rejects. And then look where my pain comes from. Where my psychological problems has started. 90% of you having depression, you're using a toothpaste. Go and read the ingredient. Whatever is on the list of ingredients, which for any reason you don't swallow, is the creation of deficiency in your body. And what does that deficiency does? Don't get bothered by fancy names. Go into Wikipedia and look for a chemical combination. Zinc, copper, blah, 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 blah is in this chemical, covered on a fancy name. This is what you lost. And then open it up and see what is the losses caused in your body, the diseases, deficiencies, heart attacks, and everything else. The science used to destroy man. They tell you you have such and such a disease, such and such a problem. Look into herbs. Look, I teach you something you learn. Many of you, ladies and gentlemen, you travel to different country or you have an active sexual life, you run into what I call urinary diseases. You go to doctors, get all sorts of antibiotics. Try to drink 3, 4, or 5 times just a clove tea. Leave clove in the tea and drink it 3, 4 times over 2 or 3 days. Do you need antibiotics? Many of the people who go to China, go to India, get water infection. They tell you cranberry is the best thing. No, clove is the best thing for urinary infection. And what does it do? When you boil it at a very high temperature, you create a gas energy of it. And it reaches 100 times, doesn't create any damage to the body because it's made from part of our body. Look at its chemical composition, what's in it, and see what's your body made. It has a protein connection. You have stomach problems. Look at the way the material combination gives you. We have to teach ourselves. We have to look at, then it comes, you look at the energy side. Look what energy it releases, and then you find the energy matches. In the space we don't have chemicals to stop viruses, we have to look at the energy pattern. It's the same what we hear now, the new corona, which I explained before, which has appeared in China and Hong Kong and is growing rapidly. Why is changed to summer strength, not the winter strength? And why is it killing so fast? This time, the game of Mr. Bill Gates and the World Health Organization is not that Chinese are handling it a different way. That's why it's not in public as such. But 100,000 people have died in the past few weeks. Now is a infection. It's not a virus. Viruses, WHO created a big thing out of viruses. Now the game is finished. Bill Gates is on the run. There is nothing heard of, but it's still there. It's not an infection, it's a virus. And we have to be ready for it. We have to understand how it works, the way it works, what effects. We don't need to become medicine men, but we have to understand the medicine of life, of our own life. Next time you pick up a toothbrush, think, what am I going to do to myself? Depression? Anxiety? Other diseases? And this is proven. One of the major, I explained this 2 or 3 times. One of the major toothpaste manufacturers added one element to the toothpaste. In 6 months, 10,000 people died across the world with it. And they will do it. Silent. Nobody knows. The energies you put in should absorb energy from the universe. You find a way to feed the soul, to bring energy to the soul, to expand the soul. This is what we do in transmutation with the headphones and the rest you do. Then you find a new dimension. Any other question?
Ike mentions that he uses cloves to brush his teeth and sometimes swallows. Okay. We have a question. Let me see. I have to go back here a bit. From Peng Peter, the last teaching you were talking about plasma cars. Would it be commercialized soon? He can't wait to get one.
Yeah, these cars, you have to understand, this doesn't apply to Keshe Foundation technology only. It applies to many technologies, one of the millions. Technology which will change the balance of the financial control politics are not usually so easy to get in unless you find a shortcut. I was talking to some people over the weekend. The cost of a plasma system for a car will be very cheap. No fuel, no electricity, nothing. It will be very cheap to do. But the world of economy, the world of politics is a different view. They make money, I don't know why they make it for. Now it got to the point they're prepared to give it away for oil, gas, and whatever. But the biggest problem for plasma system is the minute we introduce release, as we did in 2011 when the Belgians came in, we show them China has no more economical power over Iran, Middle East, half of the world which buys oil from because nobody needs oil. The shipping companies will most probably sink all the ships within a matter of days or months. So those who are in shipping, those the countries like Qatar who thrive and thrive on gas, we have no say. And this is one part of it. Multi-billion communication satellite systems worth nothing. There is about 15,000 satellites in orbit, and they're planning to increase it to 25, 30 satellites, all connected with AI. Everybody can talk to everyone. The new technology we showed in China needs no satellite. What we're going to do with these 15,000 bits we put up? So we have to stop it because now we can't make it. This is the same story that they don't tell you in the West because you don't like to hear it. Why the Americans delayed everything with the high fast internet and the rest of it? Because they didn't collect the money from the cables they set up. And World of Finance cannot see huge losses. So they stop technologies like this to emerge so fast unless you find a way through it. And we have found a way through it. And this is why we keep on asking, we need this money because we have to bring the change. Done through science and technology and understanding the world of commerce. No other way. Sometimes you can run 1,000 miles to get to somewhere and it takes you years. Sometimes you can just jump it and do it instantly. We not found that we have planned it to be there, and now it's time for it to be there. The reason we invested so much money in which we lost was to get to this point. Now, by the will of God, brought us to this point. So, plasma cards on the table today. But the world economies, world financial powers, world economical power, world political powers would allow it to come. We showed it the first time in 2011 on the 25th of November. What did they do? They locked it up and they made us criminals and everything else. But we come from the Creator, will rule. But we do it through their way. If you fight them, they always have something. When they destroy themselves from inside, it's a different story. We're destroying them from inside. They're destroying themselves from inside. They don't need us to do it for them. Plasma cards. The next 5 minutes I can put on the internet, you test it, you build it, and you put it in your car, and you see if you need maglabs, if you need. We had to show you the power of the energy to understand. Man had to go through a process of teaching and maturity in the past 10, 12 years. We've done that. You separate from the matter side, you see the energies. And now, well, we have a way. As I said to our guys over the weekend, we have found how to make a flying carpet. And stand. And I said the cost should not be more than $1,000, $2,000. You just buy a box and the furniture in it. It's like a house, but moves. The new drones, the new systems, you don't need ships to carry 1,000 containers, how it falls off the thing and then get to another port. You manufacture, you deliver to any point voila. China, Iran, Africa, America, minutes of it. Within seconds, you are delivered. Do you need to ship? Do you need to burn so much fuel? No. But the governments don't like it. Shipping is a big income, a big controller, all sorts. So, plasma card will bring the change, but the economical governments have to allow it because the financial control, political control comes with it, and the governments don't like to see it gone. But we got a plan. We know how to do it, and we are there to complete it. I'm still short, as I said, very openly. You help us, we get it. You don't help us, we have to see what happens. We are a foundation. We put everything in it. It's you who get benefit by it. Any other question?
Yeah, it's definitely quite a large challenge there with all the world entities that are essentially invested and not able to change their ways too quickly. They're like those large ships in the ocean that can't turn around very rapidly or very tightly, need time to slow down, many kilometers just to stop.
The bigger the ship, the bigger circle it needs to turn.
That's right. But they're turning, I think.
We'll see. But just remember, as I said to somebody very early, don't 99% of us as human race are living a peaceful life for the first time. And the other 1% who are insignificant, they're trying to show themselves they're very big. War does not go around Israel or America. War goes around China, India, Brazil, all the other nations in Africa who are working so, changing so much. Let me explain to you something very simple, which I explained to the arena leadership in the past few days. When we start talking about the Cyclops reducing the sanctions on Iran some years ago, if you remember, the Americans put pressure on the rest of the world. If anybody talks, signs any agreements with Iran, will be sanctioned. France, Germany, Italy, England, and the rest did not dare to move, but they had all the contacts in Iran. The American companies, Boeing and the rest, moved to Iran and signed a memorandum of understanding of relationship. When all the contracts were done under the name of the memorandum of understanding, then the America said we can trade with them, with Iran. Americans already had everything signed on memorandum of understanding and changed into contract. And they walked away with billions, created about 15 million jobs in US. Italians took a walk. British licked their wound. The French saw the Germans, why do we test the Americans, and the rest. Now comes the present situation with Iran. The Europeans and the rest learned how they were cheated by the Americans last time. This time we are all in it. French and very soon the Belgians and the rest have lost their gold reserves, the uranium mines, everything which was taken free for decades out of Africa because of nations now they're producing their own gold, and France runs biggest source of their gold reserves and uranium by the new leaders, which they said we do it ourselves. You wanted you buy us for 80 cents a kilo, you pay us 200. And now they're becoming the new Arabs oil bases of the world. You see Africa will come up very rapidly. So the West, the Italians, the Belgians, and the French have no nuclear reserve. There's no uranium going in, but France, Germany have nuclear power stations. Iran has a huge uranium resources used for nuclear. In this new agreement between America, the French and everything, the uranium mines of Iran goes to France. That's where the deal is done. The oil Persian Gulf goes to the British to pay for the losses of first time. They don't trust Americans to negotiate with Iran anymore. They negotiated what they call 1825 European summit, splitting the Africa without the African single African nation being in it. That's what we have in Africa now. They've done on Iran. So the French are taking the uranium of Iran. That's why Iran has to be stopped nuclear. The British are taking the oil of Persian Gulf. Iran has already been split. Americans take all the political strength within the controlling the what we call the Persian Gulf and the Arabs. So now you see why Iran, Israel is going to, it's not Israel. French have been wounded very heavily in Africa. The same with the Germans. Now you understand where the shot of war comes, because now Iranian damage Israel, there is no reason to attack anybody else. All the sanctions on Iran is that Iran has a nuclear power, it can attack Israel, but now it's worse. The French are bleeding, so the Germans. Italians have lost it totally. And so Iran is the new resources for them, and they don't let Americans do it on their own to cheat them like last time. Now you understand. As a senior advisor to governments, we look at everything and the reasons for it and how things move. I advise more than 5 nations' leaderships. Always correct, always with their point of view, not in the interest of the others. Now you see why Iran has to, the war has to, because the guy in Africa have changed the game. Now they're sitting on their assets. They used to have 1 billion a year income, poverty-stricken nations. They are poor, they are backwards, while we're sticking their goals and their uranium and the rest of. Now they're refining, they're doing themselves, and they are in 30, 40, 50 billion income. But the income is not the important thing, the resources. How come France has a second largest gold reserve where it doesn't have a single gold mine? All the golds are stole from the Africans. So now you see the game, why the war in Iran has to go. France has no uranium backup. Iran has one of the biggest uranium mines. That's where our nuclear industry comes from. The French is pushing for war. British, you see in the foreign secretary and the rest running around to do it because they want to have 99% control of the oil. Read the rest of the story yourself. Any other question?
Okay, well, thank you for the big picture. We have our next question is something of a much smaller nature, but still very bothersome in a way. From Zhou Xing in our Q&A, who says, I'm from Asia, where it's rainy and full of trees. In our village, there are many mosquitoes in the house, causing a lot of malaria in children. I've cleaned the environment and removed stagnant water, but mosquitoes from other areas still come. I've tried using GAN CO2 with lemon and lemongrass, but it didn't work. Do you have any comments on this issue? I want a mosquito-free environment so that people who visit my home feel comfortable and at ease without being bothered by mosquitoes.
Yeah, things you made a mistake. You first of all, you need to use gans of calcium, gans of CO2, and gans of CO. And in all of them, you need that amino acid. The reason you can't get rid of your mosquitoes most of the time is because you don't put any amino acid. Amino acids produce amino acids separately. Leave your ganses there and keep on topping it up. Amino acid is a connection to the structure of the animal, and then the calcium is the collector and the structure to the what do you call content. Then use your lemongrass, then you use whatever else you use, ginger or whatever. You have to make that link, and you have to make the link with the amino acid. And use anything else you like on top. With the copper is needed because certain strength of copper will change the structure of the what we call environment to allow life to exist. If you go a step further, use the same with magnesium, but magnesium can affect you inside the house emotionally. Brings a stability, but has other factors. And then when you use lemongrass, when you use lemon or whatever, you need that oil on the skin, not just the juice. That oil is the connection, and people don't understand this. When using lemons and other materials as whatever reason like this, you have to always include the oil. And that's why some people do it and it's effective, and some people do it and it doesn't do anything. The oil connection. You put the oil to your hand and then you clean it. That oil should be in the juice, in the gans mixture. Any other
That's very good. Thank you. That'll be useful to me as well. I've been dealing with mosquitoes in my environment.
Well, it doesn't mean it always works, but you have to find a strength that affects the environment you're in. Use always local material. It's like when you have children with the lung problems, asthmatic. The best thing for them is find a honey producer locally, because the bees take from everything, and the small dosages bring immunity. In Iran, when I was in Tehran the last time, I went for a walk in north of Tehran, and it was amazing to see a shop with God knows how many different types of honey. It was a honey shop. Honey from different blossoms, honey from different plants, and the rest. To me, it looks very nice. And then scientifically, for you to be immune, you got to have from all those honeys, because it comes from all the pollens, but your own area. You move area, you never had a problem, now you have a respiratory problem, go to the local honey producers. You pay more, but you guarantee your life. Doesn't mean you become something special, but it helps to increase. That's what the injections are. What are the immune injections we do? All the vaccines, they call it. They give us little dosage of our body to build up. You do it locally with yourself. And one of the best sources of immuning the system, but especially young children, is with local honey, where they live, they get mixed in, they're always in touch. And then once one builds up, the other one, from 1 spoon to a spoon a day. Don't boil it in the milk or whatever. Just let them digest it. The same with you. It's the way we have to connect with our environment. A lot of us absorb mosquitoes because of our emotion. I've traveled Africa for decades. Not a single once have been bitten by a mosquito. Luckily up to that. And we call it day. Is there any question?
Perhaps a quick answer for one last question from Ma'am Shria Domsky. Hi, can I use GANs to protect plants from frost? I know the answer is yes to that, but perhaps you can quickly say something about that.
This summer, I don't know how you get frost, but maybe you're in the southern hemisphere somewhere, winter coming in. There are different ways to do it. Absolutely different ways of using gases. You have to change the temperature of the ground. Use dry gases or use gases with different extreme balances that it creates a flow. You have a raw, which is, you can use a gas as a fertilizer. The gap between the two, if they say the gas, let's say use a gas of copper, which is 60. You need to create a temperature on the plant side. So you need a flow into. You put a gas mixture, which is 120, 130 in between the trees. You knowledge seekers us, you just do one thing and you don't understand the whole process. This just really gets on me sometimes. But you hang a CO2 gas on the tree, and in between the trees, you hang a gas which is 180, 200 CO zinc, what connection of the two together, that the energy from the top going into the smaller one creates a heat transfer while you need your plants to die of frost. Or do what the French do with the grapes. When it's going to be a sudden frost, they go out and spray water on their grapes and they literally freeze it in. This is what I tell you, knowledge seekers are so surface. This is what bothers us so much. You don't go into the depth of the knowledge. Monkey see, monkey does. Understand the technology. Simple information, and I've repeated it many times today. Magnetic field in motion create, that's what energy is. You block the energy from higher to lower, it has to release itself, creates heat. Heat does not need to be in temperature. It can reach the soul of the plant. Still, that's better than actually heating the greenhouse. Knowledge goes right across, not when it suits. Let's call it a day. Thank you very much. And we'll see you the next time.
Okay, very good.
We'll be there. We still ask you for your support. We need this support to complete our work. And we thank for those of you who are supporting us in either way. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. All right, there's one last thing I'll show here is our
To tutaj koniec 594 warsztatu Poszukiwaczy Wiedzy. Nie był on zbyt długi, 2,5 godziny. Także dziękuję Wam za uwagę. Myślę, że był on bardzo cenny. Myślę, że notatki też żeście sobie porobili. Jak nie, proszę do niego wrócić. No i co? Dziękuję Wam za uwagę i do zobaczenia na przestrzeni. Pa.